Picture this. You head out to camp for peace and quiet, only to find out you're not as alone as you thought. Tonight, we're diving into 6 camping encounters so eerie they'll make you double-check every sound outside your tent. Let's dive in. Cassandra built her TikTok channel around easygoing, everyday clips. Meals, quick chats, nothing spooky. That's why the footage from one sleepless night feels so out of place. It was around 3 in the morning when an unexpected noise outside her remote cabin jolted her awake. Thinking it might be an animal, she peeked through the window. Instead of wildlife, she caught sight of a tall, dark figure standing just beyond her fence line. Its outline looked human, but its posture and stillness didn't add up. Heart racing, Cassandra grabbed her phone and started recording. The lens caught faint movement, something upright, looming. Then, as she inched closer for a clearer look, the figure vanished. What replaced it was even stranger. A single cat sat calmly in the exact spot where the figure had been. No rustling, no fleeing footsteps, just a quiet animal staring back. Moments later came a hard, deliberate knock on the door. Cassandra called local police, but when officers drove by, they didn't even stop. Their report, nothing unusual in the area. Commenters tried to break it down. Could it have been a prankster who slipped away unseen? Maybe a trick of shadows combined with her half-awake mind. Yet the details refused to settle neatly. Some viewers swear the figure in the recording appears to have horn-like shapes rising from its head. Others point to the abrupt switch from a human-shaped presence to a lone cat, as too perfectly timed to dismiss. Whatever it was, the encounter rattled Cassandra. The video shows no dramatic chase or sudden violence, only that uneasy space between ordinary and unexplainable. 1 second, an unmistakable silhouette. The next, a harmless pet. And then the knock, loud enough to feel intentional, before everything goes silent again. Was this a late-night prank? A prowler testing the door? Or something stranger that cameras can catch but logic struggles to pin down? Whatever the truth, Cassandra's quiet cabin night turned into a mystery that still haunts viewers every time they replay the clip.
It's just so loud. There it is.
Kristen is no stranger to solo hikes. Her videos usually show calm treks through alpine landscapes, the kind of adventures that end with starlit views and a quiet night in the tent. But her climb up Mount Kosciuszko, the tallest mountain in Australia, didn't follow that script. She'd planned to reach the summit and head back the same day, but the hike took longer than expected. Rather than rush dangerous trails after dark, Kristen chose to camp near the top. Alone and far from the nearest town, she set up her tent as the last light faded. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The night was cold but still, and she settled in expecting nothing more than mountain winds and the occasional cry of wildlife. Then came a sound that didn't belong. A distinct crunch of footsteps moved around her campsite, not the scurry of a possum or the scrape of loose rocks. These were heavy, deliberate steps. She froze, listening. Maybe it was just the wind shifting her tent walls, she told herself. But the noises continued, circling slowly. Minutes dragged by. Every crack of ice, every small shift of fabric seemed magnified in the darkness. Kristen stayed absolutely still, resisting the urge to shine a light that might draw attention. With no cell service and no quick escape, she made the only choice that felt safe: remain silent and wait. Morning finally brought relief. As the first pale light touched the snow, the footsteps stopped. She emerged to find no obvious tracks, no signs of wildlife large enough to match what she'd heard. When she shared her story later, viewers debated what could have caused the sounds. Some pointed to wild dogs or a lone dingo, which roam alpine regions and can move quietly until they're near. Others believed it might have been another person wandering off trail, perhaps a hiker who noticed her tent and grew curious. A few insisted it had to be something stranger. Whatever it was, Kristen never saw it. The only proof is the tension in her voice and the clear memory of those methodical steps outside the thin wall of nylon. What began as a practical overnight stop turned into a night of unanswered questions and a reminder of how exposed a solo camper can feel miles above civilization. Would you have stayed hidden like Kristen or stepped outside to confront the source? Out in the wilderness, sometimes silence is the strongest form of protection.
No, I'm just walking over there.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been living out in parking lots for many years now,
Okay.
and I've gotten in the well, it's not really necessary to explain.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm an old truck driver,
Okay.
and you can't get up in the middle of the night for a pee when you're driving a truck.
Okay.
So you use a bottle.
Okay.
So then you dump the bottle beside the road somewhere.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing is a little bit embarrassing. I don't really need to explain myself.
No, it's fine.
I met an old trucker once who said that after 20 years he persuaded his wife to take a trip with him.
Uh-huh.
At the end of the trip, she told him, "I'm never going to do that again.
Okay.
I could put up with the way you work 15 hours a day, with the horrible people you have to deal with the way you sleep with a gun under your pillow, with the filth and the crowding and the noise, but I can't tolerate the way you roll on your side and pee into a bottle."
All right. Have a good night, sir.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Are you guys traveling for long, or that's...
Well, it depends what our boyfriends say, so bye. Bye. Have a good night.
Natasha, known online as Quest Out West, isn't the type to sugarcoat van life. Her channel documents the real thing: mechanical hassles, lonely nights, and the gut feelings you sometimes have to trust when you're hundreds of miles from home. One evening, she and her friend Bev were on a cross-country drive, stopping in the quiet town of Merritt. They pulled their Dodge Sprinter into a nearly empty Walmart parking lot, the kind of wide-open space most travelers see as a safe overnight stop. With a few scattered vehicles around, it looked calm enough to settle in for the night. Hours later, that calm shifted. Bev stepped outside to adjust something on the truck but quickly returned, uneasy. When she went back out, Natasha peeked through the window and spotted a man heading toward them. The stranger struck up a conversation, his tone overly cheerful yet strangely rehearsed. He claimed he'd been living out of parking lots for years and then launched into a meandering story about long-haul trucking, bottles used as makeshift restrooms, a wife who swore off road trips, and odd details that didn't quite fit together. While nothing he said was openly threatening, red flags kept stacking up. He held a full bottle he never set down. His questions dug deeper than casual small talk: where they were traveling, how long they planned to stay. The way he lingered, circling back with random anecdotes, set off an instinctive alarm. Natasha stayed polite but careful. She offered short answers and casually mentioned that their boyfriends were inside the van. Fictional backup meant only to discourage any bad intentions. Her words were friendly enough to avoid conflict, but they carried a quiet message: we're not alone. After a few more odd stories, the man finally walked away. The interaction might look harmless on camera, yet anyone who slept in a vehicle far from home knows how quickly a situation can sour. In the open spaces of a parking lot, there's no lock strong enough to replace gut instinct. Later, viewers debated what really happened. Some argued he was just an eccentric traveler craving conversation. Others felt he was testing boundaries, hoping to find someone unguarded. Natasha herself never claimed danger, but she made one thing clear. Listening to that inner warning kept the night from tipping into something worse. For people living on the road, this is the quiet reality. Trouble rarely announces itself. It starts with a chat that feels just a bit off, a story that stretches too long, a stranger who doesn't quite leave when the conversation ends. Natasha's choice to trust her instincts and to create the illusion of company wasn't paranoia. It was self-defense in its simplest form. What's your call? A lonely trucker spinning tall tales, or a hidden threat in plain sight? Whatever the answer, her late-night visitor turned an ordinary stop into a reminder that safety on the road depends as much on intuition as on locks and alarms.
I'm starting a little bit late. It's like 11. So I got up, I'm trying out this new mineral multivitamin drink that I take in the mornings. And before I go out and find a place to live in the forest, I wanted to stop at the Amish store. If you guys have been following me for a while, then you know that where I'm around here, I'm around a lot of Amish people and in the country. And my favorite thing about that is that there's dented can stores which sell like expired foods at a really cheap cost. So I save so much money when I'm here, which I'm saving money right now to go international and do van life international. That first. You guys gonna kick me out of this spot? Are you guys gonna move your truck so I can at least leave? Are you gonna move your truck so I can leave? Huh? Well, it's kind of weird that I was well, I am. Well, now I have to leave because there's no way I can sleep like this. Can you at least ask, or say excuse me or something? I was camped here. Right, but can you say yeah, but it's just common courtesy to say sorry. I didn't realize. Is it okay if we camp here? But it's this is the spot that I got. It's just strange.
Victoria Rose usually films calm, practical van life videos. Simple meals, quiet drives, the occasional roadside view. But during one August stop in upstate New York, her night in the woods turned into something far from routine. After stocking up at her favorite Amish surplus store, she searched for a free, secluded campsite. Dispersed camping is rare in the Northeast, but she managed to find a pull-off deep in the forest. By evening, her van was parked, bed layered with blankets, dinner cooked. Everything seemed set for an easy night. Then came the interruption. Around 2 a.m., glaring headlights cut through the trees and the sound of tires grinding gravel closed in. Startled awake, Victoria looked out to see a vehicle pull directly into her campsite, not beside it but almost touching her van. The strangers offered no apology, no explanation. They acted as if she wasn't there, blocking her exit and brushing off her presence entirely. Alone and boxed in, she weighed her options. Stay and hope nothing escalated, or leave immediately and trust the dark, unfamiliar road. She chose to get out fast, packing up within minutes and driving off with adrenaline still spiking. Later, Victoria described the encounter without drama. No threats were shouted, no property damaged. But anyone who has camped alone knows how quickly the sense of freedom can flip. A group showing up uninvited, parking inches away, and ignoring every polite signal is more than rude. It's menacing by indifference. Her audience filled the comments with advice. Motion lights, alarms, even small cameras. Yet most agreed on the core truth. Technology can help, but nothing replaces quick instincts and a readiness to leave. This incident wasn't a crime in the legal sense, but it exposed a deeper reality about solo travel. Safety isn't only about wilderness hazards. It's also about how unpredictable other people can be when the world is asleep. Victoria's night began like any other on the road. By sunrise, it had turned into a reminder that a quiet forest can become unsettling the moment strangers decide your space is theirs.
So I'm sitting here making my dinner and I heard voices and I peeked out and I could see people from away up there. So I was I shoved my hat on. I had all my hair tucked down in my jacket. to try and make me look like a fella, because I've never come here before. I was nervous about who was coming along, because you have to go right round the side and away down here. But then I seen a guy, and then I heard kids, and then I seen the woman. That was a couple and their children. They were so lovely, yarning away to me, asking, do I do this all the time? And they were down Bloody Bridge last week. I was saying that I camp in the mornings normally, and their kids were like, we want a wild camp. They were so nice, but they were like, do you do this by yourself? And I was like, I'm sure people think that do come across me, that girl is crazy. I'm just casually out here in a tent making me. So there was a group of 4 people coming towards the tent. I realised it was 4 teenage boys, and you could hear them whispering and getting on. I ended up poking my head out and saying hello, and they headed up the hill to the cliffs behind me. Now up that way it's access to a farm. They're going to come back, or what's going to happen, but yeah, I came to the coast for a change of scenery, and the police might be coming to remove me. Well, that is me in the bed. I can't see a comment of like what they were shouting. Couldn't see them going home and actually telling someone. I think it's just teens being teens. Ears open anyway, because if I hear a voice saying excuse me, I'll shut myself.
Northern Ireland's rugged coast is famous for postcard views and crashing waves. For solo camper Natalie outdoors, it was the perfect escape. She picked a scenic cliffside spot, set up her tent, and began a quiet evening with a warm meal and the sound of the sea. For a while, everything felt ideal. As twilight deepened, a friendly couple with their children wandered past, curious about her setup and eager to chat. Their light-hearted visit felt like a welcome sign that this hidden corner of the coastline was safe. Then the mood flipped. A group of 4 teenagers appeared, climbing toward her tent with quick, hushed voices. Natalie greeted them to show she wasn't startled. They turned uphill without incident, but as they retreated, their shouts carried back on the wind. "You can't camp there. We're calling the police." Were they serious or just trying to spook her? Hard to tell. The words echoed off the cliffs long after they disappeared, leaving her on edge. She double-checked her surroundings, wondering if she'd soon face an angry farmer, a late-night patrol, or the teens themselves returning for more mischief. As if that weren't enough, another problem crept in, literally. The tide began pushing higher than expected. Water that had seemed a safe distance away at sunset was now licking closer with each surge. She had studied tide tables earlier, but the reality of waves inching toward her tent in the dark made those numbers feel less certain. Natalie tried to rest, but every sound sharpened the tension. The hiss of the sea sounded like footsteps. A shift in wind could have been approaching voices. She unzipped the tent to check the shoreline again and again, each time gauging how much sand remained between her and the encroaching water. Hours passed. The police never came. The teenagers didn't return. But the sea kept rising until it finally stopped just short of her campsite. At dawn, she stepped outside to find damp rocks marking how close it had come, evidence that a few more inches of tide could have flooded the spot entirely. Morning light revealed calm beauty once more, yet the night had exposed how quickly peace can unravel. For solo campers, danger isn't always a dramatic attack. It can be a string of small stresses, a stranger's careless words, the uncertainty of weather, the realization that escape routes depend on tide and terrain. Natalie's video left viewers divided. Some dismissed the teen's threats as nothing but childish bluffing. Others argued that their behavior was a subtle warning to leave, perhaps knowing the tide could trap her. Whatever the motive, her long, restless night showed how the wild can turn unpredictable without a single overt act of violence.
This Hilton Garden has plenty of parking, so it's about to go down. Also, there's another van, so that's kind of comforting. Oh, that's a FedEx van. All right, boom. pulled past me. Lots of people pulling in right now. It's kind of weird. I'll go in the back. Inside. Oh my gosh. But I want to look out the window real quick. Ooh, a bus just pulled in. And there's a car. And there's lights on behind me. And over on this side is that FedEx truck. Sketchy? I don't know. Just a second. Hi.
Well, it's not really necessary to explain.
I just pulled over
I'm
just
sorry?
to go to the bathroom back here. I'm leaving. Alright, so it happened. That's the first time in hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of hotel parking lots that I ever got the knock. And I hadn't even fallen asleep. I had just, like I said, just sat there and listened for a few minutes. It hadn't even been 5 minutes since I turned off the camera.
For most people, a hotel parking lot feels like a safe bet when sleeping in a van. Bright lights, steady traffic, maybe even security. That's exactly why Nana from Travel Snacks chose one during a long drive through South Carolina. But safety isn't guaranteed, especially when you're alone and the world is dark. It started like every other night on the road. She scoped the area on Google Maps, spotted a Hilton Garden Inn with plenty of empty spaces, and parked her van in a quiet corner. Curtains drawn, lights off. She settled in for some overdue rest. Minutes after shutting down her camera, everything changed. A sharp, deliberate knock rattled the side of her van, loud enough to jolt her upright. Peeking out, she noticed a regular car idling nearby with two people inside. One of them wore what looked like a security uniform. Her instincts fired. Instead of questioning them or hoping they'd go away, Nana rolled down the window just enough to speak and calmly said she was leaving. No argument, no debate. She started the engine and pulled out, heart pounding. On paper, it sounds simple. A guard telling someone she can't park there. But anyone who lives on the road knows how quickly these moments can go sideways. There was no official security vehicle, no lights flashing, just two figures in a plain car watching her. Whether they were legitimate hotel security or something else entirely will never be known. Eventually, she found a quieter location and finished the night without trouble, but the tension lingered. Hundreds of previous hotel stops had gone smoothly. This one drove home the fragile line between routine and risk. Viewers later debated the situation. Some said it was ordinary security making rounds. Others found the lack of clear identification suspicious. Everyone agreed on one thing: trusting her gut and leaving immediately was the right call. For van dwellers, that's the unspoken rule. You can research locations, cover windows, and follow every safety checklist. But one unexpected knock can rewrite the night. Nana's experience proves how thin the barrier really is between calm travel and a story that could have ended far differently.